So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session of Stroke Support India with Dr. Melita, where we are going to talk about functional rehabilitation post-stroke. Dr. Melita is a Master's in Physiotherapy Neurosciences from KEMH Mumbai and also certified in Neurodevelopmental Physiotherapy, as well as a member of Indian Federation of Neurorehabilitation. I will leave the rest of the introduction to her, and I'm going to pass it on to her now. And roughly, I think we hope to have a more interactive meeting. In case if need be, there's a presentation which Melita ji will share. And also, if I can request Melita ji also, consequent to our recent experiences, अगर वो हिंदी में भी थोड़ा बोल लें, where if possible, जहाँ पर भी, it will be a greater help to maybe more people. So over to you, Melita ji, and welcome all. Thank you again. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hardeep, for inviting me again for another one of these discussions. Like you've been having every weekend, great going for the group. Thank you everyone for taking time on a Sunday evening and joining us here. Hope that this will benefit you in some way. So my name is Dr. Melita. Like Hardeep ji introduced, I have done my Masters in Physiotherapy in Neurosciences from KEM Hospital. And I've also studied neurodevelopmental therapy. I'm not a purist, don't work on one methodology per se, but an amalgamation of whatever are the best practices presently going on. Hope this is an interactive session. Please come forward and ask your doubts, your queries. If you want me to repeat something, or you want to see an image, you want me to speak in Hindi, please put your questions in the chat box. So let me give a brief introduction about why we chose this topic as functional rehabilitation and what does it actually mean. In terms of rehabilitation post-stroke, what we all know is that the person who suffers from stroke has undergone some damage to part of his brain. Some neuronal injury is there, some neuronal death is there, and this affects many aspects of the person's functioning. What is most obvious to us, or what is most visible to us, is the paralysis of the hand, the leg, sometimes face, but there's also these accompanying issues, which sometimes there's issue of consciousness, there is an issue of mood, there is a disturbance in swallowing, in speech, in communication. So stroke affects different people in various different manners. And what the aim of rehabilitation or the aim of physiotherapy purely is to get back the person to their functional status as they were pre-stroke. So if the person was going to office, working on a laptop, having to attend calls at office, our aim is to try and get the individual back to that function to the best of his capability post-stroke. That is what functional rehabilitation actually means. Now, why are we thinking of functional rehabilitation? In olden days, physiotherapy was a lot of movements. So what people did, or what even physiotherapists believed, was that you need to move the injured part. So if the shoulder is not moving, you begin to move the shoulder. If the elbow is not moving, you move the elbow. And most of the physiotherapy was restricted to movements only. Gradually, as neuroscience has progressed and as research is being available, we have understood that the brain is basically plastic, which means that there is a lot of neuroplasticity, neuronal changes that undergo in the brain. Also, the way that the brain learns, or the way that the brain remembers, is it remembers functional actions. So the brain will not remember that I took my hand from the table to the mouth, but the brain will remember that this action is for eating. The brain will remember that this grass is for drinking. So the brain remembers or learns actions in terms of function and not in terms of movement. And that is why we stress so much on functional rehabilitation. Again, simple example to give you, if a person post-stroke is going to be lying down on the bed and moving their legs in a circular or cycling motion, that alone is not enough for them to be able to ride a cycle or even say move a stationary cycle. The actual rehabilitation or the actual learning that will happen by the brain is if we actually get them into a sitting position, put their legs into a stationary cycle and have them pedal. Now, even if this action is done with assistance, even if they are sitting with support, even if they are sitting with us, assisting their legs to move, that is still much more beneficial, much more effective than the person just doing it while lying down on the bed. So this is how functional rehabilitation is actually really important, and how functional rehabilitation or working in terms of functions, in terms of action, in terms of actually doing a task is beneficial to learning, to neuroplasticity. Okay, and that is what actually brings about a better rehabilitation post-stroke. So post-stroke, if you can refer to the previous talk that I gave, we spoke in length about the factors that affect neuroplasticity. So what is neuroplasticity? It is basically how the brain learns. The brain learns whatever you repeatedly perform, the brain will learn. The intensity of the learning will matter. The specificity of the task will matter. So all of these points were discussed quite in detail. So let's move on to the functions or that we focus on when we talk about functional rehabilitation post-stroke. So there are certain important areas. The first important area to focus on is communication. So if a person has a very, very affected consciousness post-stroke, even then it is important for us to figure out what is the best way that the person can communicate. Can they do a thumbs up, thumbs down? Can they look right, look left? For a yes, look right. For a left, look for a no, look left. So even simple movements like this is important to initiate that start of communication, because that helps the entire rehabilitation process. You can get the person actually involved in whatever they want to learn. You can ask their permission. You ask whether they are interested in this or that and work accordingly. So communication, very, very important, and also helps us to achieve a lot more functions. After communication, what we really focus on post-stroke rehab is ADL training. So that is really, really important. What happens mostly is people would focus more on mobility, but mobility in itself is quite restricted. So if you focus on ADL training, which is brushing your own teeth, going up to the bathroom, going and using the washroom, trying dressing yourself, trying eating, trying and drinking, these are all ADL tasks. And ADL tasks in themselves help one to accomplish a lot more in just focusing on simple tasks that the brain will obviously learn much easily because it is used to it. It knows what it is performing. It is quite well learned before the stroke. So important to focus on ADL tasks. After ADL task, what's important again is trying to get as much as hand function as is possible. We will speak a little more on hand function and mobility in detail. Also important is to use the sensory system. Now, what do we use the sensory system for? Your sensory system gives in the input from the environment into your brain, and the brain responds to that. The brain responds to whatever sensory information is gained. So if you know, a lot of people post-stroke do not have that much level of consciousness, or people will complain that they're sleeping too much, or even if they're awake, they're a lot drowsy. So you have these things wherein, you know, the awakeness is affected. So smell is considered to be one of the strong sensory systems that helps to awaken people. So I ask people to, give them, even if they can't have anything by mouth, At times, the patients may be on a Ryle's tube, or they might be on a peg, and they are not able to have so much by mouth. Even at that time, just giving them to smell a little bit of tea and coffee can be quite alerting and awakening, the way that you and me have our tea and coffee early in the morning. You can also have them use their regular perfume so that they're feeling fresh, so that they're feeling nice. All this helps to activate the brain, helps to activate their mood, and you get a better performance in your functional task or in your daily task. Smell is one of them. Again, vision is one of them. So use the visual system. Use the visual system, have a huge calendar placed in front of their eyes so that they can see what day, what time, have a calendar, have a watch, what day, what time it is. If they are interested in TV, you can have that as a sensory input around them. You can have a schedule placed in front of their eyes so they know that, okay, this is time for bathing, this is time for therapy, this is time for resting. So all these can also be, encouraged by your visual system. Sound, music helps, sound helps, maybe use an alarm clock, music of their choice. That's why this communication becomes important, because then you can ask them whether they want music on or off. If what is playing at the current moment is pleasurable to them, if they wanted to continue or they wanted to change. So sound also helps in keeping one alert and awake as is needed. Taste is another one. Depending on how much the person with stroke is able to swallow, is allowed to handle in their mouth, we use very, very minimal taste if they're not allowed to really swallow. So just having one of those mint sprays, or giving them just a drop of probably orange juice or tea or whatever they like, to activate their senses, to make them more alert, make them more aware. These things are really, really important. Also important to consider post-stroke. In post-stroke rehabilitation, especially we talk about functional rehabilitation, what are the goals that the patient wants to achieve? What are the goals that the individual likes? What are they most motivated for? Their choices, how their life has been pre-stroke. Do they want to learn those activities? Do they want to learn something new? Do they want to, you give them all the information and help them choose tasks that are meaningful to them, that help develop their self-esteem and their choice. And then you work for those. The guidelines for clinical practice in physiotherapy are, first is early mobilization. Now, what early mobilization means is that within the first week to 10 days of stroke, you will try and mobilize the patient. They are not supposed to be on bed rest, absolute bed rest. Recent researchers have shown that we prevent very aggressive mobilization, very aggressive, very early mobilization. That is between the first 24 to 48 hours, we allow the patient to rest. But say within 10 days to the first month, they should be tried. You should try to make them sit up, even with support. You should try to move them. They should try to get up on their own. All these activities have to be started in early mobilization. The second guideline is task training. Like I said, functional rehabilitation is the most recent, and it has a lot of evidence. And it is really, really important that we train individuals for tasks, for activities, for function, and not just movement. So not सिर्फ पैर उठाना, हाथ उठाना, all those, ये सारी जो चीजें हैं, ये फिजियोथेरेपी में थी, पर ये काफी पहले थी. और अब ऐसा हमें पता लगा है, ऐसा समझ में आया है कि ये इतनी इफेक्टिव, इनका इतना असर नहीं होता है जितना कि होगा अगर मैं एक्चुअली उनके हाथ में गिलास दूं और बोलूं कि ठीक है, आप कोशिश कीजिए पानी पीने का, मैं आपकी मदद करूंगी, या आप कोशिश कीजिए उठ के बैठने का, हम मदद करेंगे आपको. तो जो ये सारी चीजें हैं, उठ के बैठना है, चलना है, ये सारी चीजों पे फोकस करना बहुत जरूरी है. सो टास्क ट्रेनिंग बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Physical activity becomes very important. And also there has to be a focus on fitness and mobility. If we find that there are risk factors for a second stroke, or for health not being as effective, usually after stroke endurance is poor. Stroke होने के बाद लोगों को थकान काफी जल्दी महसूस होती है. ये एक प्रॉब्लम है स्ट्रोक की वजह से ही, कि वो ज्यादा कर नहीं पाते हैं. जितना हम लोग कर पाते हैं या उतना नहीं हो पाता है, जल्दी थक जाते हैं. पहले बहुत ज्यादा कर पाते थे लेकिन अब नहीं कर पाते. तो पोस्ट स्ट्रोक फटीग इज वेरी जेन्युइन, एंड हेंस फोकस हैज टू बी गिवन ऑन एंड्योरेंस एंड फिटनेस एंड मोबिलिटी. In the acute stages, positioning and splinting is very, very important. I have shared these images in my previous talk also, and if anyone's interested, I can re-put them on the group. I've done so multiple times. So positioning, extremely, extremely important. What positioning does is that it prevents the muscles from going into a wrong position. It prevents deformities from happening over a period of time. It keeps the patient comfortable, but also prevents deformity, so that as recovery occurs, the recovery is better. There is no tightness. Along with positioning, hand in hand goes splinting. So splints that are necessary are important at this stage. Okay, I see Arvind raising a hand. Do you have a doubt? Can we address that right now?
Okay, is there a specific question while sitting idle? Is there a specific question is while sitting idle?
Mm-hmm.
Am I audible? Am I audible to you?
Yes, you're audible. So I think your question is, when sitting idle, is there a position?
Yeah, is there a question that we have to follow?
Okay, so let me just quickly address this. I will show it to you.
If you are sharing a screen and we don't see any screen, Ms. Melita.
Yes, just give me a second.
Okay, take a time. I think that you're
Thank you.
towards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you want, Melita ji, I have the PPT on my desktop now. I can share it from there, if that is more convenient.
Looks like there is some trouble.
No, we seem to have lost her, but she's logging back in.
Okay. So we can't start.
Pradeep, I think you'll have to give me sharing rights again.
Right, just a minute. I made you the co-host.
Yeah, I've got
on my desktop also. If you want, I can share from there as well. Okay, we can see your screen now, Melita ji.
Is the screen visible now?
Yes, I can see it at least. Yeah. So is it
Yeah.
visible to all? Yeah, I think.
So this is one of the positions that you want the individual to be in. As you can see, the elbow is rested. The right side is the affected side. The elbow is rested on this forearm. So that if you can see the images on top, that is the scapula. So the shoulder bone, the spine is straight, the shoulder bone are symmetrical, and the hip bones are symmetrical. This is how you want the person to be sitting. This is another image. You can see that again here the person is sitting, the affected arm is supported while lying on the unaffected side, affected side. Does this answer the query?
Arvindji, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, what I'm asking is the image that you showed us, the person lying down on the left side
Is
had
not really audible to me. Just give me a second. Yes.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Hello?
Yes, now you're audible to me. Yes.
Okay, so the image that you showed us, the
Right.
person who's lying down on his left side had his hand supinated position. So is that
Right.
how it has to be?
Yes. Yes.
The hand should
So
be in
what hap-
supinated when he's lying on the left side.
So the hand is mostly kept in the supinated position. The reason being that after stroke, the tendency is of the hand to pronate.
Yes, correct.
I have a very strong tendency for the shoulder to internally rotate, for the elbow to flex, and for the
Correct.
forearm to pronate. This is your most common position after stroke. Hence,
Yes,
all
correct.
attempts have to be taken to get the arm out of this position. So if you can see on the table, the arm is kept like this or like this, even when lying down. So this is
No,
the position that
while sitting down, the arm was on the pronated side, pronated position.
which is usually how your tendency of keeping the hand would be. If you can stretch out the hand and keep it like this, nothing like it, again that's positioning for the arm.
It's better.
So
It's better supinated. Is that what you mean?
it's always better supinated, always better supinated.
Okay.
Any other queries, doubts?
Looks like host has still
Yeah.
Akshay ji has some query. Maybe Akshay ji, if you can speak up.
still my video is disabled. Can you please give me access to start my video?
Give me a minute. Just give me a minute
Okay.
to start your video, right? There you are.
Yes. Now I can.
Yes. You want to show something? I'll just pin you. Just give me a minute.
Yes.
Okay, there you are.
Good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
I just wanted to ask. My name is Akshay Patil. My age is 29. I got stroke last year in December. I think I have quite a good shoulder recovery, but when it comes to elbow, I have troubles about reaching to things and keeping my hands stable. What will you suggest for that? The kind of exercises that will help me keep my hands.
Screens are overlapping a bit.
Okay. Should I stop his video?
No, I will need Mr. Akshay's video to be going on.
Okay, so I'll stop your video, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's completely fine. Yes. So, Mr. Akshay, if you could do me a favor, if you could, are you on a mobile screen? If you
Yes.
can keep, yeah, if you can keep your mobile screen steady at wherever it is, and if you can back up a little and show me whatever movements are possible in your hand. So, okay,
I do have spasticity. So my
sorry, can
fingers
you
are
come again?
closed.
Your fingers are closed. Yes,
I do have spasticity. So my
correct.
fingers are closed.
Okay.
But what I want to ask you is that I
Mm-hmm.
do have trouble while wearing a shirt. I I can't wear it without some help. So I
Okay.
wanted to ask that
Okay.
what I can do more for my elbows so that I can have hand maneuver like before.
Okay.
The same
Okay.
you can consider this as hand moving to my head
Correct.
and
Can you
things
take
like
your
this
hand to your
and
mouth?
wearing a shirt.
Does your hand reach to your mouth?
Yes, ma'am. I can.
Okay. Okay. And can you hold a spoon in that hand or a glass in that hand and take it to your mouth? Does that happen?
I haven't tried it yet, but I think
So this
spoon will be fine.
this is where the basis of functional rehab comes. Okay. If you want to learn and if you want to improve
Okay.
the activity of that particular hand, okay, you have to start doing functions with it.
Yes, ma'am.
And okay, Mr. Hardeep, if now we can switch because Mr. Akshay, I'll show you demonstrate something so that you know it's better for everyone to understand. Thank you so much for sharing your query with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as we could see, and Mr. Akshay was very kind enough to share with us his concern of his hand recovery. Okay. What we observed is that the movement of his hand, it goes into this pattern. Like he showed us, it was quite possible for him to take his hand to his mouth. Okay. Now, if we only ask him to practice raising his shoulder, that is going to be difficult. And what is going to happen over a period of time is he is going to pull in into that available spasticity, use it, and further tighten his hand. Okay. So what we usually do is, if you can see, there is a surface in front of me. So we ask this elbow to be resting on a surface. And from this surface, what we do is then we will ask him to hold objects into his hand, okay, and take it to his mouth. Now the grasp, so this part of the hand, if it is extremely tight and it is extremely small, then we can start with, say, maybe just holding a spoon and assisting him to take it to the mouth. If we can work on opening it a little bit, we can work with, say, a small water bottle. You have these really thin ones that, you know, you could use one of those. As and when this you are able to get this kind of movement, you can hold bigger objects. It also does not matter, even if suppose you say that my hand is really poor, I can't really hold anything or leave anything, or, you know, it also works if you just place the object into your hand, wrap something around it like an elasto crepe so that it stays over there, and then you practice this movement. But what's important
Okay.
is to give this elbow a little bit of support. This working in air will not really be beneficial. Okay. So, and think function. So this is one of the functions we worked in. The other function we could work in is we keep this hand here and we use it for typing. Okay. We can just have like, you have a pen, you wrap something around it so that the handle is, you know, made wider, and just do scribbles. So that's a lot of, if you can see, that's a lot of shoulder movement from internal rotation to external rotation. Okay. That's a lot of elbow movement from flexion to extension. So you get a lot of movement over there. Again, if you're trying to reach outwards, what I would say is that this part of your hand should be resting on a wall. So now I'm just placing it on the screen in such a way that it seems like it's
Okay.
rested on the wall. And then you try to move it up and down. Okay. So you could use your good hand to support this hand.
Okay.
So use this hand, support it so that your elbow is not
Okay.
really getting flexed. Use this and move it. Okay. These are another few options for you to work on. Again,
Yes,
another
ma'am.
option for you to work on is when
Okay.
you're working from with a chair. So you keep your hands on the handrest of the chair. Okay. Now your elbows are a little bent when you do that. And when you
Okay.
try to stand up, your elbows straighten up, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This is what will happen. So that will also
Yes,
bring
ma'am.
some kind of a grip, some kind of an opening to your elbow. Okay, so these are a few ideas that I can share with you right
Okay.
now. With your regards to dressing, and I
Okay.
found this amazing video on YouTube. I did share it in the group. I will do so again after this lecture, where the individual has shown how if you bend forward, usually when you bend forward, your hand loosens up. So your hand loosens up, your hand can go down.
Okay.
You wear the t-shirt in the affected hand first. So you use your good hand, okay, and put the t-shirt in the
Okay.
affected hand first, and then
Okay.
you use the other hand, and then it's quite possible for you to wear it. So you just watch the steps, the body position that
Okay,
she
ma'am.
uses in order to open the hand, and that helps in dressing a lot. Okay, so she's given t-shirt dressing,
Okay, ma'am.
she has given
I
pants,
will
socks,
love to
shoes.
watch the video.
Yes, I will share it again for everyone because that's really good and really helpful, and I think everyone could benefit from that. Any other doubts? I hope this has been
Thank you, ma'am.
helpful, Mr. Akshay.
Yes, ma'am. I also want to ask you that how can I get my hand? I do have a trouble in supinating with my hand.
Correct. Supination is one of a difficult movement for mostly everyone. Let's just say that supination for this hand will begin from you taking this hand outwards completely from here. Okay, so I see a lot of
Yes, ma'am.
people doing this exercise, which is you hold something and then they're just taking it inwards. Okay, so I'd encourage you to take it outwards.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, outwards, open out this part of
Yes.
your hand. Okay, use your good hand to turn over. Okay, to turn over and supinate. Also, we
Okay.
then perform a lot of functional activities which are, so you have like a pen which is going inwards, you turn it and drop it outwards. So you have a spoon, okay, that has something in it here, and then you have to take it and throw it out. So you would have to
Okay.
try some activities that can
Okay.
happen, but remember, it's not just supination. Work also on the shoulder, work on external rotation. Okay, work on all these movements, keep your elbow rested,
Okay.
and that supination as much as can come in will come in with that.
Okay.
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 Riddhaji, I have a query.
Okay, Mr. Arvind, right?
Yes. I observed when Akshay ji turned on his video,
Mm-hmm.
I observed his little finger extended.
Okay.
So I have the same improvement in my fingers. I have the little finger extended also. So can
Okay.
we have any specific exercises that could initiate movements on the little finger?
Again, the whole crux of the lecture has actually been to focus on functional rehab. We need to change our mindset from movement of parts of the body to getting function. So if you can
Okay,
tell
okay.
me, if you can, because see, your brain will not understand opening my little finger, closing it, opening my
Correct.
middle finger. Your brain is not going to understand that.
Right.
Your brain will, however, understand that when my 3 fingers open, that's when I can hold a pen. Okay.
Correct.
When all of my fingers open, that's when I can hold a glass, or I need a
Mhm.
wider grip to be able to hold my mobile phone.
Mhm.
Your brain, even if right now you just sit down and just try to reach to an object with your unaffected hand, you will see that your hand automatically takes the shape that is necessary.
Right.
So
But,
working on
As a
individual
patient,
things.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but as a patient's point of view, I feel that this little finger improvement is a huge thing for me. I mean, as a patient, it's a huge thing for me and someone who is a patient also.
We rightfully, Mr. Arvind, we are not denying that this is an improvement for you. This is a great achievement. However, to build on it forward and help you better,
Mhm.
we need to think in terms of functional rehab. We
Right.
need to
So
think in
that-
terms of where is
Okay.
that affecting.
Okay.
I'm not saying that that is it. I'm saying that wherever that affects you functionally, that is
Mhm.
what we can train, and that is what will take it forward. That's
Okay.
to build on it.
Okay. For this functional movements, what I'm doing is, I'll tell you what I'm doing. So let me know if it is
Surely.
right or wrong. I'll let you know what I'm doing, so you can advise me if it is right or wrong. So it can
Okay.
benefit others also who has this improvement.
Mhm.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm collecting small sized objects like shallots, like small onions, right?
Okay.
Small onions, jackfruit seeds.
Mr. Arvind, is it possible for you to actually put on your video and show this to us? Because I think that gives everyone a lot clarity on. Is that possible with you? If you don't mind.
Mhm. I mean, I don't have all those right now.
No.
No, I don't need to see the objects, just to see the way Mr. Akshay was kind enough to, just
Okay.
show us. Yeah.
Okay, you see the finger, right? Extended finger. I see the same thing in Akshay's hand also.
Okay.
Okay,
Fair
so
enough.
for the function activity part, I will share the video in the group. I don't mind sharing the video in the group.
Okay, so can you just back up a little from your screen? Can you just back up a little from your screen? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Now can you
I picked
can
the
you
shallot.
do it with
jackfruit.
the affected hand? With the affected hand.
Okay. So I keep those in the bowl and take those, pick the. I mean, I sort them I sort them out actually.
Okay.
So I take
Okay.
like 5 to 8 shallots,
Mm-hmm.
5 to 8 garlic, 5 to 8
Mhm.
jackfruit seeds. So I'll mix it up together in a big plate,
Mm-hmm.
and then I sort them out one by one.
Okay. Okay.
So I take the shallot separate, I take the jackfruit separate.
Understood.
You understood, right? So
Yes. Yes.
so basically I'm giving a movement to the hand, elbows, and the fingers also. I'm
Okay.
sorting with the little finger.
Okay.
So I'm using the elbow and the little finger for this particular
Okay.
movement.
Okay. Okay. Any
So-
other activity that you do with the hand?
No. I
Okay.
drink water from the cup, but I'm
Can
not
you
able to hold it like that.
Can you show us that, please? Online?
Definitely. Yeah. So I hold it like that.
Okay. Okay.
Just a minute. I'm sorry.
No issues. Take your time. Just take your time. That was nice.
So these are only two things that I do functionally,
Okay.
and I open doors also.
Okay.
I can
Okay.
show you. I have a slight opening in the hand, not complete opening. I have a slight opening. So I stretch my hand a little bit before I start the activities.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Arvind, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you've heard my previous lecture, but I will again request the patient with stroke, do not stretch your fingers. do not. Okay. Where the tightness actually is, to be very honest with you, is the tightness is in this portion.
This
Okay.
area.
The tightness is in this portion. What is happening is, and in fact, I don't know if everybody was able to notice it, or I'll bring to attention what Mr. Arvind very beautifully showed. So when he was demonstrating to us that he does sorting, okay, his wrist was also flexing, okay, probably his little finger was a little, but his wrist was flexing, and his movement was within this range, a lot more strained, and just the elbow moving a little bit, okay.
Correct.
But when he actually held a glass, this grip was appropriate. This finger was still flexed. It was not extended, but your wrist was extended. Your wrist was extended, and your shoulder went up quite some degrees. It went up even beyond 90 degrees. So that shows that when you're actually performing an action that has so much meaning to your brain or to your mind, which is a part of your ADL function. Sorting these grains, I'm sure you've never done it before pre-stroke. You've never done it. Neither there is any purpose to sorting once it's sorted, unless it's really required at that point of time. Not. So this very simple function that he demonstrated showed me so much more of shoulder, so much more of wrist extension, which is what he wants. Okay, and if he would just hold a glass, and pretend that he's pouring liquid out, he will also get supination. So if you scoop up water from, or maybe grains from one side, and try and put them out again, keep your elbow a little supported. Keep your elbow supported, give yourself that a little bit of help. You will also get supination. What he wants, what you want, is not just finger extension, because try and look at my hand. If my fingers extended with my wrist in this position, I really can't do much.
Yes.
I really can't do much. But if my wrist extends, then even if my fingers do not open fully, if they do, well and great. Even if they don't, even if they are here, I will still be able to perform a lot more function. I will still be able to hold things, wear, my stuff, hold my toothbrush, hold probably, a vessel, glass, whatever it is. So what you're aiming for basically is this movement. Okay. Request again, please do not stretch your fingers. These fingers have very delicate joints, very delicate ligaments. If you overstretch them, what only happens is, as you can see, the wrist keeps going down, the fingers keep getting extended, and eventually you don't get any function of this hand. You're really not able to do much with this hand. So you got to stretch from the wrist. That's your main. You stretch from the wrist. Get your wrist backwards. It's okay if your fingers are not opening up fully. That's fine. Get the wrist movement and practice holding things, because that keeps your wrist in extension.
Okay.
So that's something that I would request from you for what you're aiming for. And the more you get wrist extension, if you have this kind of mobility, it will help to open your fingers also. Right. So not just your lateral finger, but even the other fingers will kind of, open out. So that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, but Melita,
Anandi, yes.
Yeah, for my husband, when the physiotherapist comes, he does these exercises for him. What Arvind was doing just now.
Okay. So this is not to contradict anyone. I am speaking on the basis of my knowledge, on my latest information. If you have any queries, discuss it with your therapist. We always put out videos where we show what the exact positioning or the exact splinting, etc. should be. So let's just go with that. This is I'm very clear on this. There is no other way to do it. No overstretching of the fingers is a blanket rule. You need to work on the wrist, work on your wrist mobility. That's really important. Work on supination as you can get. But most importantly, remember what function you're eventually working on. That's really important. Okay, I hope that helps.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
I think Anuradha ji has raised her hand. Maybe you can unmute yourself. Yes.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, actually, my mother have stroke, and she have subluxation of her shoulder. So, what can we do for that?
Subluxation of the shoulder is a common impairment that occurs post-stroke. I will quickly explain why it happens. So what happens in the stroke is because of the affection of the brain providing the signals to the shoulder muscles is hampered. So now these muscles are weak. They don't really have any command or any input giving them to kind of tighten. Your shoulder joint has very less of stability bone wise. Okay, so it's a joint that is really dependent on muscles and ligaments, all of these for its stability. So the moment your muscles are weakened, subluxation happens. Now, subluxation will be seen in almost all patients with stroke. Because subluxation is a common feature, that's why that positioning, those images that I showed, that's really, really important to look after in the early stages. Even if that has not happened, I have shared a few splints in my previous slides also. We can re-share them on the group, no problem. So you have these splints that basically hold this shoulder bone, they hold it back in place and leave the rest of the arm free to move around. Initially, they would use these arm slings, but then they realized that that was just feeding into the pattern of stroke spasticity. So now we don't use them anymore. We use these other slings that just keep this shoulder joint together. The slings are one thing.
I'll just show you what. Yeah. I'll just show you what we are using. Right.
Surely, surely. Kinesio tape is another thing that can be used. Then we also perform these shoulder joint. So when I said you keep your elbow on rest, what it also does, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So we are using it and it is helping a lot. But now again, because I strongly believe my mother had stroke in February 2021, and then she had another stroke last month only. And from the very beginning, I believe that functional training is more important, because then whatever you explained. But now with subluxation, should we start giving her glass to drink water and everything?
So the subluxations do not restrict you from doing any movement of the hand. Okay, just the subluxation is coming in because of weakness. If you have put in the splint, that's providing support. You also need to work on those muscles. So there will be, shoulder stability exercises that your therapist would be doing for you. You would be doing for the shoulder to kind of shoulder muscles to work on. But just because a person has subluxation, it doesn't mean that we will not use the hand. So what is only prevented is, what we would not allow is giving weights in the hand. So no giving of, like a 5 kg dumbbell or even like a 2 kg dumbbell. Don't give a 2-liter water bottle filled in the hand. Those are the things that we would avoid, because it will worsen it. It will cause further injury. But holding up to a glass of water, eating your food, trying to reach your hair and comb, holding the chair and trying to stand up, all of that is allowed and it is necessary. You need to do an active movement to keep that shoulder in place, to get those muscles a little bit active. So you are allowed to do all that. Just don't make her strain it or take too much heavy weight. That's nice.
And my also mother's hand was flaccid. Now it is coming up to like 1. That's what physiotherapist is saying. 1+ pe aa gaya hai. So but the fingers are turning in.
Are you using a splint for the fingers?
No, not as such.
So I would recommend using a splint for the fingers. Okay. So that, that the spasticity that is coming up, okay, it does not override and does not help you to claw. Now, the reason I will also support use of splint so much is, to be very honest, even if you do physiotherapy very aggressively, very intensively, there's a limit to how much a person can actively engage in exercise in a day, right? In 24 hours, you can exercise for 1 hour, say 2 hours if you would do one in the evening, one in the morning. But in order to prevent these deformities from happening, claw from happening, wrist from getting flexed, you need the right position for much longer duration of time. Hence, I am strongly in favor of splinting. So splints help to keep your hand in that position, your shoulder in the correct position, your foot in the correct position, and you can have a splint on for anything from 8 to 10 hours a day. Even with breaks, you could easily take it to 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And it has shown when you use a splint for around 8 to 10 hours a day, that's when it will actually prevent a deformity. So that is my honest request to everyone. Get a splint that is comfortable, that gives you the position of the hand that is the best. I don't really like splints that keep your hand like this, very flat, because not flat hand isn't good either. You can have something that is more functional, that gives you this arch of, this gap, this arch. So splints that usually allow this kind of positioning are the best, and you can use them for longer periods of time. That's really, really important.
So if you can share link of such kind of splint on the group.
Surely, I have done it before. I will resend those. In case any of your requests remain, just text me, message me, whatever, or Mr. Hardeep, and we will make sure that all these resources are put out for you again, so you can have a look at it. Probably might be on the website link also, but we can definitely send them again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Most welcome.
I think we can go to Wilson ji. He has raised his hand. Wilson ji, if you can unmute and speak up.
Also, Mr. Hardeep, I think there was a question in the
on chat also.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will take it. We will take it after some time. And Purnima ji has also. There are some questions in the chat. After Wilson ji, we can do that. We can look into that.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Hardeep ji, and good evening, madam, and everyone over here. I have got some queries regarding the finger movement of my affected right hand. Now, as far as it is compared with the left hand, the right hand finger movement is not so much or intense. As I'm twinkling my hand, my fingers, it is not happening much more. Okay, there is a lot of recovery right now. Moreover, the other question is that as I measure my right side, basically my calf muscles, my thigh muscles, my forearm, my wrist, and my bicep, it has been observed that the circumference or the size has reduced more than 1 inch with my affected side. That is the other question. Whether I will be able to gain normalcy after this, after few days or something, gain muscles. That is there. And there is another question which I'm still not able to understand, or I haven't asked to any of my physician or my neuro physician like that. I got a hemorrhagic stroke. I mean, I got an injury on my right side of my brain, which I fall down, and my right side is affected. As far as I understand, the left part of the brain, if damaged, then the right is affected, or if the right is damaged, then left is affected. So this is a query which I'm asking you, madam. And another question is that now on my left hand, which is the normal hand, which is not affected, I get a tinglingness and numbness if I try to do little bit walking or little bit exercising in the sense, or intense walking. That is one thing. And also the right side of my trapezius back muscles, it also gets a tingling and numbness. So these are my questions, madam. Can you please address some?
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for your questions. Thank you so much. Let me try and address them one by one. Okay. So for the first thing that I would like to explain to you is when you said that there is a difference in the girth of your muscles, whether it is your biceps, whether it is your calf muscles, your thigh muscles from the affected side. Okay. So if I can ask you how much time duration has gone by since your stroke episode?
It is almost 9 to 10 months now. It was in November 2020.
9 to 10 months. And are you taking nutrition orally? Like, are you eating normally?
Yeah, I'm eating normally.
Okay.
I'm taking antiplatelet treatment, and I'm not having any problem with swallowing. I'm able to swallow. But other than swallowing, I had one problem. I mean, problem in the sense is very oftenly, it has been 3-4 times now that there had been an infection in my ear and I have to go to the ENT. So that is an observation which is happening within this last 8-9 months, that 3-4 times I have to go to the ENT.
Okay. So let me come back and address this. When you talk about deterioration or a lesser girth of muscles of the affected side, I'm sure this must be the case with a lot of persons who have had stroke. One of the reasons is because of the extreme weakness of the muscles that is coming from the paralysis and the muscles not being used effectively. So sometimes even when persons with stroke are walking, what we find is they don't really bear enough weight or give enough weight on the affected side. So the use of that affected side is quite limited. So that is reason one. But the second reason, which is also very important to look into, is nutrition. Okay. So after your stroke, it's very, very important to make sure that your diet has enough amount of hydration, enough amount of protein and minerals, etc., that are needed for muscle health. This is really important because what happens is, like we said, post-stroke fatigue is quite high. Post-stroke, the energy expenditure to do any task is double the amount that it would be pre-stroke. So even normally, your energy expenditures have gone really high. In order to manage for that energy expenditure, you have to make sure your diet is right. Now, this does not mean going into overeating because you or eating fatty foods or too much carbohydrates and all of that. But protein is what helps build up the body. Hydration is very, very crucial, very, very essential. So it's important, and your supply of vitamin B12 that you're taking, vitamin E that you're taking, vitamin D, calcium. So these are very, very important to look into this aspect as well, in order to make sure your recovery is to the best as possible. If you're doing as much physiotherapy as you can, but the nutrition is not enough to support it, your muscles will not gain control or build strength in the way that they should. So that's addressing your difference in growth. Again, that's what you said. I am not a physician, and I have not looked at your MRIs or your reports, so to say. So my opinion in this can be quite limited. So I could be wrong, but there are cases in which there is a rebound phenomena in the brain. So when one side of, you hit your head to one side, the brain matter that is inside actually hits the other part of the skull, the opposite part of the skull. Okay. And that there might be damage on that side. So, it's really important for us to have the MRI report, study the MRI reports and understand what has been affected where. So this is a very general blanket statement that I'm making, but yes, these injuries are also possible. Just to explain to you that since you're also having these recurrent infections, Mr. Wilson, I'll say just keep a note on your diet, make sure that that's adequate and correct, and hopefully that will help you going. Work enough to weight bear on your affected side, on the affected hand, on the affected leg, and that will help build strength and control at least on that side. I can't promise about muscle girth. Again, that's not functional. So we don't really focus on that. But if you work on that side, if you weight bear on that side, there's a higher chance that side is getting more functional and will improve. I hope this helps solve your queries.
Thank you so much, madam.
Most right.
If you can look at the chat quickly, Melita ji, I think there are some
Yes.
suggestions there.
Okay, so let's look at that. The first one I'm seeing is from Mr. Subhash, who's asking if functional and occupational therapy are the same. Thank you for your question, Mr. Subhash. Very well pointed out. So right now, what the neuro rehabilitation team, we do not separate or segregate, actions. So we don't say that one person will look at the head and the other person will look at the hand and the other person will look at the leg. We right now function as a team. There is a team approach. What has been the convention has been that physiotherapists usually work on the patient walking, and the occupational therapist usually worked on the hand function or training the person for ADL skills. But these, stark differences no longer remain. Our attempts, both occupational therapists and physiotherapists and everyone else in that team, in the neurorehabilitation team together, our attempts are to make the individual as functional as possible. So that, thank you for that question. Helps, explain this for everyone. Purnima, yes, can be worn for a couple of hours, take it back on and off is what you have recommended. I think that comes for the sling, for the shoulder sling. Exactly what I mentioned. I will just demonstrate again. So the sling that, if I'm not wrong, Mrs. Anuradha, her mom was wearing was something that just keeps the shoulder neutral. So the only job that sling does is basically just approximate this, like that's it. So it doesn't turn your hand in, it doesn't turn your hand out. You're supposed to just position it in neutral, as it were, at the side of your body, and just get it in. Before they use these slings that were like this, and those are obsolete, we don't use them anymore. So that was your doubt. Dynamic splint recommendation. Again, there are, for hand, unfortunately, dynamic splints, not so many, but I will share whatever resources I have with you. Something known as an Orfit material is quite moldable, so they are able to give you whatever positions you require. The other forms of splints that people have spoken of, which is a cock-up splint. So cock-up splints help in, actively moving your wrist upwards. But for that, you need to have that wrist motion, range of motion. First of all, you need to have wrist strength, and also the flexor spasticity. The spasticity that is pulling your hand inwards should not be excessive, because if then that happens, that splint kind of just ends up breaking and is not really serving the purpose. So splints are, I get a lot of, calls and messages of people asking which splint works best for us. The splint really to figure out which splint works best, you need to have a detailed examination of, how much movement is there at the joint, how much strength is there, where is the spasticity coming from, what position can the spasticity, be reduced in, and then we figure out what splints help. So it's a longer process. I wish to help you in that. I think I saw another chat message where someone's asking if a chiropractor can help more than physiotherapy. So chiropractors, or layman term bone setters, what they do is they just align bones and joints. They do not have a medical, at least not in our country. It's not, the education is not done in a medical college. And when you have a stroke, what is affected is basically that impulse flow, or the command center, that is your brain, is not commanding your body to work or to perform appropriately. So if it's commanding, it's not it's not happening accurately. So what you really need to train, what you really need to focus on in stroke rehabilitation is the brain, is on neuroplasticity, is on your mind relearning, reconnecting, recircuiting, and learning the activities again, relearning to the best of your possibilities. So I'm not sure that falls on the realm of a chiropractor. Functional movements, functional rehab, that's how we train the brain. Yeah, we can have more discussion on neuroplasticity probably, because that's like another huge topic to cover. But the more, in very, very simple terms, if you perform active movements, your brain learns them, relearns them, remembers them, and helps you to perform them. So you need to focus on relearning or reworking on active movements. Okay. So let me just, do we have any more doubts, queries?
I think we look at Shruti and Akshay. Anandi ji, you have raised your hand, but I take it that you have asked the queries in the chat.
Yeah, I have also asked the question. I'll lower my hand.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll come back to that. We'll go to Shruti ji. If you can unmute yourself and ask your query. And also we are past 8:15. So I don't know how much time you have, Melita, but just to
yeah, because we could discuss the other topics in further detail because they need as much of explanation.
So we'll look at Shruti ji and then we'll come back to the presentation. Shruti ji, if you can ask your query.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Sir, I am Manish Goyal. So I am the patient of this brain hemorrhage. So in 19 August, I got this brain hemorrhage, right? 5-day operation. So now basically I had a operation in the left side in my body. This portion, there was a brain hemorrhage, right? That operation was that point in time, right? Because of that entire right body from here till my head, foot, everything is basically having weakness and problem like whenever I do since last 2 years, I am doing that physiotherapy. In the physiotherapy, I am very clear that my left body from here till left side, that is perfect. But from the right side, if someone see from me, I seems perfectly. But as a internal, from my point of view, my body like my क्या बोलते हैं भाई, मेरा पैर जो है, मेरा पैर दिखने में तो सर लगता है बिल्कुल सीधा है, लेकिन एक्चुअली में थोड़ा टेढ़ा है अंदर में, इंक्लूडिंग माय ईयर आल्सो, लाइक ऐसे में लाइक इफ आई सी लाइक दिस and from left side seems everything perfect, but from the right side it is approximately 60% 70% I can see, but after that I cannot go back. मतलब ज्यादा नहीं दे पाता, इधर इस तरफ मैं देखूंगा तो मैं देता, ठीक है ना सर। और जैसे मेरा मैंने बताया लेफ्ट साइड का मेरा बॉडी यहाँ से ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक बिल्कुल ठीक है, क्योंकि मैं फिजियोथेरेपी जब मैं करता हूँ तो मैं बेड पे लेट करके करता हूँ। उसमें सर what problem I am facing whenever do the exercise, so पैरों की जैसे भी मैं करता हूँ तो लेफ्ट साइड पैर से जो भी मैं ऊपर नीचे ऐसे करता हूँ, दैट इज परफेक्ट, कोई इशू नहीं है। बट इस तरफ मैं जब करता हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि मेरा हाथ ऐसे है, एक्चुअली में जो है ना ऐसे है, टेढ़ा है, अंदर से दिखता नहीं है, मतलब फिजिकली नहीं दिखता, इंटरनली इट इज बेसिकली
he feels some tightness, ma'am. He feels some tightness in his body, in his right side. And moreover, I would like to show he is using these kind of weights while doing physiotherapy. Is it recommended or we should stop doing it? This was one of my questions. And moreover, sometimes, one more question, ma'am. Sometimes his hand trembles a little bit. It's not always, but it's sometimes.
कई बार yes समटाइम्स लाइक इसमें whenever वैसा तो ठीक रहता है, बट इस समय कई बार ऐसे 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 भी हो जाता है, ऐसे भी हो जाता है कई बार, मतलब जो राइट साइड में जो प्रॉब्लम है ना मेरी, उसमें कई बार जैसे ऐसे भी हो जाता है मेरे को, जैसे काम करते हुए, बट इस साइड में ऐसे कभी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, इस साइड इट इज परफेक्ट, बट इस साइड में कभी कभी ऐसे ऐसे भी हो जाता है कभी काम करते हुए, जैसे आई एम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, जब भी काम करता हूँ तो इस तरीके की प्रॉब्लम कई बार मेरे को हो जाती है। अब जैसे मैंने ये आपको बताया, अगर दिख रहा हो जैसे 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 ये पार्ट है ना, ये पार्ट ऐसे अंदर से देखा जो ऐसा है हल्का सा, बट दिखता नहीं है, बट जब मैं एक्सरसाइज करता हूँ जैसे ऐसे करता हूँ तो हल्का सा अंदर ऐसे ही जाता है। दिस इज माई प्रॉब्लम एक्चुअली।
And moreover, he is not able to hold his leg for like more than I think 5-6 seconds. He's not able to hold his right leg whenever he's doing the physiotherapy. And but it's not the case with the left leg. It's perfectly fine.
Okay. So, Goels, thank you for asking this question, listening to this lecture for so long, and asking your question. थोड़ा मैं यहाँ बताना चाहती हूँ, या थोड़ा एक माइंडसेट फ्रेम थोड़ा सा एक चेंज या पूछना चाहती हूँ कि आपने मुझे दिक्कत बताई जो मुझे समझ में आ रही है, राइट साइड और लेफ्ट साइड वाली, पर जब आप चलते हैं, से आप बेडरूम से किचन जा रहे हैं पानी लेने के लिए, या किचन या गार्डन में चल रहे हैं, तो क्या ऐसा होता है कि आप एक साइड में डिविएट करते जाते हैं? जैसे हम सीधे चलते हैं तो क्या तब होता है कि आपको लग रहा है कि मैं एक दिशा में थोड़ा, मैं चल सीधा रहा हूँ, मैं अपने पैर तो मैं सीधे ही डाल रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैं जा रहा हूँ एक तरफ, कैसे होता है?
बिल्कुल परफेक्ट कह रहे हैं। जैसे मैं ऐसे जाता हूँ तो कई बार मैं इधर निकल जाता हूँ, मेरा हाथ में टच हो जाता है कई बार। जैसे मैं घर से मतलब रूम से बाहर निकलता हूँ तो रूम में कई बार टच हो जाता है मेरा इधर बार, जो पहले मेरा कभी नहीं होता था। जैसे ऐसे मैं निकलता हूँ तो कई बार मेरे इधर टच हो जाता है, मेरा कई बार होता है टच।
And moreover, the sensation is really low. Like even if touch भी हो जाता है, तो भी from the right side is not able to make out कि touch हो गया है. The sensation is also low.
Okay. Another question is, do you have any mention of a cerebellum involvement in your stroke?
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't take your question.
Cerebellum, do you have any involvement of cerebellum?
हाँ जी मैम, शुरुआत में था, और मतलब in the initial days it was there.
Okay.
Because it's already been 2 years now, so now it's not there, but initially it was there.
So basically and that's why I said we need this a little mind shift change. Like you said, I am exercising while I am on the bed, and you can make out that your legs not going the way you wanted, but bahar se to theek hi lag raha hai. Okay. For in your case, exercising on the bed, like I said, is going to be a very, very limited benefit. It is not going to get you what success you need. Okay, what your activities या आपके जो exercises हैं, अब आपके सारे exercises होंगे खड़े रह के, ठीक है, जहाँ पे balance, coordination, direction, ठीक है, मैं जब खड़ा हूँ और मैं सामने से कोई चीज लेने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरा हाथ डायरेक्टली उस चीज के पास जाना चाहिए, ना कि अंदर या बाहर। ठीक है, मैं खड़ा हूँ, मैं अपना पैर आगे रखता हूँ, तो मेरा पैर उसी पॉइंट पे जाके लगेगा जहां पे मैंने कुछ मार्किंग रखी हुई है जमीन पे, या मैंने कोई एक बॉल रखी है, मेरा पैर जाएगा उसी डायरेक्शन में। आपको बहुत बहुत जरूरत है फंक्शनल रिहैबिलिटेशन की। ये जो सोच है कि हाथ के मुंह, मैं हाथ ऊपर नीचे करूंगा, पैर ऊपर नीचे करूंगा, और इससे मेरे स्ट्रोक में या मेरे चलने में, मेरे एक्टिविटीज में मैं जो इम्प्रूवमेंट चाहता हूँ वो मिलेगा, वो थोड़ा एक गलत है। यू नीड टू नाउ स्टार्ट फोकसिंग ऑन functional activities only. You are someone who would who has far आप बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट्स हो चुके हैं आप में, आप बहुत आगे बढ़ चुके हैं कि आपको सिर्फ जो बेड की एक्सरसाइजेस हैं वो आपको हेल्प करेगी। आप अभी फंक्शनल रिहैबिलिटेशन कीजिए, जो सारी मूवमेंट्स हैं आप एक लिस्ट बना, अभी जैसे आपने मुझे काफी डिटेल में बताया कि ये हाथ में ऐसा होता है, ये पैर में ऐसा, आप एक लिस्ट बनाइए कि जब मैं सुबह उठता हूँ तो क्या मैं सीधे उठ सकता हूँ, या तभी भी मुझे लगता है कि मैं एक तरफ जा रहा हूँ, या जब मैं खड़ा होकर चलता हूँ तो मैं कौन से डायरेक्शन में जाता हूँ, 4 कदम के बाद जाता हूँ कि 10 कदम के बाद घूम जाता हूँ। ये आप ये सारी चीजों का लिस्ट बनाइए। जब मैं अपने टेबल पे खड़ा हूँ और मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, तो क्या तब मैं जहाँ पे रीच करना चाहता हूँ या मैं प्रेस करना चाहता हूँ एक की, पर हाथ जा रहा है दूसरे पे, ये सारी चीजें जो है, ये सारी जो बारीकियां हैं, आप इनका नोट कीजिए और आप आपके फिजियोथेरेपी में, रिहैबिलिटेशन पे इन सब चीजों पे ही काम कीजिए, इससे आपको बहुत फायदा होगा। सो ये थोड़ा आपको एक डेफिनेटली एक बदलाव इमीडिएटली लाना है आपके जो फिजियोथेरेपी अप्रोच में है, ये बहुत जरूरी है आपके लिए। That will help you.
What about using those weights? Should we use those weights as I showed you?
As a personal choice, I am not someone who is very fond of weights because to be very honest, if I am standing, then the weight on my legs is equivalent to half of my body, right? Each leg is taking half of my body's weight, to be very honest. So personally, I don't go in for weights unless and until there is something particular that I'm training people with. You know, there are times when I might use, a backpack that has weight because someone says that, okay, he needs to carry a laptop to work and then he does get tired when he's carrying that laptop. So that might be a reason why I would work with someone with a weighted backpack, but I don't work with weight class. My opinion and my practice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Most welcome. Thank you for your time so much. Thank you.
Melita ji, you want to go back
Yes.
to your presentation and finish if there is anything pending for item that you would like to emphasize upon?
Okay. So the one thing that I would really like to, sum up this whole presentation with is when you focus on functional rehabilitation, what also happens is that so when you have physiotherapy, people remove, उनको 1 घंटा 2 घंटा अपने पूरे दिन में से निकालना पड़ता है अलग, ताकि वो एक्सरसाइज कर सके। वो एक बहुत अलग टाइम निकालते हैं वो लोग कि एक्सरसाइज तब होती है और फिर बाकी दिन में कुछ नहीं होता है, या एक्सरसाइज में फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट करा रहा है, आपको बिठा रहा है, आपको खड़ा कर रहा है जितना कैपेबिलिटी है, पर दिन भर में वैसा कुछ नहीं होता है। तो जब हम फंक्शनल रिहैबिलिटेशन करते हैं, हम ऐसी कोशिश करते हैं कि हम इन दोनों चीजों को साथ में लेके आए। जैसे मैं अगर सिखा रही हूँ किसी को ब्रश करना, ठीक है, तो ये एक एक्टिविटी हो गई, उनके हाथ की एक्टिविटी हो गई क्योंकि उनको ब्रश पकड़ना है, ठीक है, शोल्डर और बॉडी की हो गई, और मोस्टली हम तो खड़े रह के ब्रश करते हैं बेसिन के पास, तो बॉडी भले बेसिन पे टेक गई हो तो भी वो दोनों पैर पे खड़े हैं, तो उनकी स्टैंडिंग भी तभी हो जाती है, ठीक है। साथ में ये मूवमेंट हो जाती है, आईने में देखना हो जाता है, सेल्फ केयर हो जाता है, प्लस उनको लगता है ना कि मैं खुद का भी, कोई और ब्रश कर रहा है दांत कम, उससे मैं खुद ही ब्रश कर रहा हूँ जितना पॉसिबल है, तो एक सेल्फ एस्टीम बढ़ती है। तो हमने इस एक एक्टिविटी में, एक ही एडीएल टास्क में हमने इतना कुछ अचीव कर लिया, ठीक है, या कि हम अलग हाथ की मूवमेंट करें, अलग हाथ की मूवमेंट करें, अलग खड़ा करें, अलग आईने में दिखाएं, ये इतनी सारी चीजों को हमने एक साथ ले आए। और ये कब पेशेंट प्रैक्टिस करेगा? ये प्रैक्टिस करेगा सुबह में जब ब्रश करेगा और रात में जब ब्रश करेगा, तो इसके लिए अलग से टाइम नहीं निकालना पड़ता, ये आपके दिन भर में ही हो जाता है, दिन भर में 2 बार हो जाता है। तो वैसे ही अगर हम और सारी एक्टिविटीज हम इसमें ही डालें और इसमें ही ट्रेन करते जाए, तो हम दिन भर में कितना कुछ एक्टिव रह सकते हैं, हम ज्यादा एक्टिव रह सकते हैं, हम ज्यादा चीजें सीख सकते हैं, हमको अलग से टाइम नहीं निकालना पड़ता, प्लस हम डेली एक्टिविटीज खुद के खुद कर पाते हैं, जिसका आप सब जानते हो कि महत्व बहुत ज्यादा है, उससे कॉन्फिडेंस अच्छा रहता है, वो खुद के लिए काफी अच्छा रहता है। तो इन समेशन आई फील दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम सब एक एक स्केड्यूल बना दें कि ये सारी चीजें हैं, ये टाइमिंग है ये सारी चीजें करने का, और हम ब्रशिंग खुद से अब स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, भले थोड़ा हेल्प लगे, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, कोई और पेस्ट लगा देगा आपके टूथब्रश पे, या टूथब्रश का हम हैंडल बारीक नहीं रखेंगे, हम ज्यादा मोटा कर देंगे ताकि पकड़ने में आसानी हो, हम ये छोटे छोटे मॉडिफिकेशंस कर सकते हैं, पर वो एक्टिविटी इन इट्स होल आप ट्राई करें प्रैक्टिस करने का। तो ये सारी चीजें ऐसा आप शेड्यूल अगर बनाएंगे ना, तो आप रिकवरी फास्ट कर पाओगे, रिकवरी आपकी इफेक्टिव होगी, क्योंकि आपका ब्रेन ये सारी चीजें सीखेगा और आप कर पाओगे। So wishing everyone all the best. I hope this has been helpful. If any images, any links are needed, feel free to contact Mr. Hardeep. He will let me know, or you can contact me. I'm on the group. and we can share all the resources as needed.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Melita,
much.
just quickly, can we just run through the chat, finish the pending aspects? And I think Akshay question is also in
I
the
am
chat.
not
Same.
getting, I'm not getting.
Can you see the chat or should I?
Yeah, can you read it out for me? Because I'm not
Okay.
sure I have. all
Right.
of it.
Okay, I will read that. Yeah. Okay, chiropractor, we have turned that. About Dr. Mr. Wilson getting an ENT consultation, let us elaborate that later. Akshay was saying that I would like to ask about spasticity. He is using a static splint for almost 6 hours a day. It has reduced my spasticity, but isn't eliminating it completely. And have about same level of spasticity for about 2-3 months. How can I reduce it further so that I start getting some finger opening? That was his query.
Okay.
Akshay,
So
yeah.
yes. So most politely, Mr. Akshay, I think you haven't been the part of the group when the previous discussion happened in detail on spasticity.
Yeah, he was not there.
So yes, so we
ma'am.
can have, we'll share that video with you, because again, spasticity is a very long topic. Just in brief, it's very good that you've been using a splint. If you have been doing the relevant exercises which are for hand opening and which are for moving against the pattern, if that is also being done to the best of your abilities and you find that your spasticity is not going away, please consult your neurologist and discuss it with them, because they have treatments for spasticity that will go hand in hand with therapy. Like I said, it's a whole team approach. So if you're doing the right physiotherapy and if you're doing the right amount of splinting and yet you are not seeing a change, then we will go back and discuss this with your neurologist so that we can, find the best possible outcomes for you with that. Okay.
Fine. I will take up
Okay,
his comment if we can address that. She says, right hemisphere frontal lobe affected. Forget to switch off light when coming out, but does switch on, use flush, even fan is switched on, but not put off when leaving the room. How to try to help him remember? I keep telling him now he's physically fine. So essentially, I think it's an issue of memory recognition, perhaps. If you have some.
Right. So yeah, we could. I was just trying to share that image with you, but I don't know if I have it. So when you talk about the frontal lobe right here in front of, yeah, okay, I can probably get it. So the frontal lobe right above your eyes, so behind your forehead, that's where your frontal lobe is, and this frontal lobe.
We cannot see your screen if you're sharing that on.
Okay. Let me just get back to it. Can you see it now?
We are seeing a yoga posture there, right, presently on the.
Now.
That yoga posture is there.
No, is it not this? Okay.
No, at least I am not seeing that.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I got it. I will just do it again. Yeah. So
yeah, I
think this is
yes.
Where you can see. So that area which is marked as 1 on your left hand side, that's your frontal lobe. Now this frontal lobe is responsible for reasoning, for motor skills, for high level cognition, expressive language. Okay, this is the center that is responsible for all of this. Now what happens is, if there is an affection of the frontal lobe, you know very clearly, I would advise you to go in for something which is a cognitive behavioral training. So they would have specialized different techniques in which to help the person to remember tasks. So in simple words, I'm not a specialist in that domain, but what we usually do is, so we keep these huge visual signboards near the switch. So a visual marking where it says put off the light, or you have a visual marking which is press the flush. These kinds of things you need to reinforce that every time. So the reinforcement should not necessarily happen with just your words. giving signs, giving clues, being very specific about the instruction. You have to do this, or you go to the washroom, you flush, you come out. Being very specific about your instructions, that helps. That would be my, take on. Again, we work on it task by task. So that was how it would need to be. It may be good for certain tasks. It may be affected for certain tasks. We can't really say, but we would train them, whatever is affected, by giving these more visual cues.
Okay,
Does that help?
I think that, yes, indeed, that addresses that. We'll go to what is remaining. Just a minute. Then Arvind ji is saying wonderful session to enlighten.
Thank you
saying,
so much.
Use your vision to guide your arm and leg. That is Purnima Karia ji. I think that was in response to Goel Saab's query, and also she's also saying not recommended weights. Anandi ji is also saying thanks for this enlightening session.
Thank you so much.
Arvind ji is also saying so much positive energy. Thanks. Great explanation. Wilson ji, great explanation. Thank you. Vandana ji, thank you. Anuradha, I have similar. Lot of thanks and thanks. Yes, really, Melita.
Thank you for attending and making this session helpful and very interactive. Thank you. Do feel free to connect for any more doubts, queries, if I can help you. Thank you, Mr. Hardik, for organizing and for all your efforts you take for the group.
No, it's a pleasure, and it's all because of people like you and who are supporting that we can do these sessions. So I'm very, very grateful actually to all who are putting their efforts, and then we can do this session. So thank you very much, Melita, for all your inputs and the efforts that you have taken. Thanks everyone else for attending. And of course, as she's saying, as I have seen some comments, we'll post the videos, we'll post the images, etc. And we'll take it from there. So thank you very much, everyone. And thanks again. And I'm ending the meeting now. Thanks again. All the best, everyone. Take care.